We did it! We bought our very first home. And that was 2 years ago. We bought a house. This is really like a tiny house. It's an old, historic, tiny house, mansion, at almost, not quite, 750 square feet. Could you live in a 750 square foot house? If you live in something similar or smaller, let us know in the comments. Hi there, I'm Charlene with Journey Down the Road, where we talk about simple living in small spaces. We hope to inspire you to live more simply by living in small spaces to create a sustainable lifestyle so that you can have more freedom and opportunities. We've talked about building our own tiny house and living in a van for many, many years, but that hasn't happened yet. I would still love to live in a van one day. Yet, we always seem to find ourselves living in some type of a small space or studio. This is how we stumbled upon our very small 750 square foot house. One day, my husband uttered a dreadful statement that I would guess many small space dwellers would actually cringe at, myself included. He said, "Hey honey, I think we need to look into buying a house.
So we have something more permanent to call home.
Instead of throwing all of our money into rent every month and year on something we don't actually own. That way, we'd also have an investment for our future."
What is he talking about? Buying a home? Getting a mortgage?
Getting into debt? No thanks, I'll pass. What about the tiny house or van life? We can't forget about that dream. So we are totally minimalistic living, no debt type of people. That's why I never wanted to even get a mortgage. The thing is that we both had full-time jobs in certain locations where we couldn't just plop down a tiny house or live in a van nearby. But here's the thing, we live in Texas now, and if you haven't heard, everything is bigger in Texas. How on earth do you go from a 500 square foot studio apartment to a normal house? Which actually most houses are even over 1,000 square feet. So I had a bit of a panic attack trying to think of how our minimal lifestyle could fit into what would be a normal house. What would you consider a small house? 1,000 square feet or smaller or even larger? I know people personally that would even say that 1,200 to 1,500 square feet would be too small for them. By some miracle, my husband found our small home in a historic district. Never did we think that we could find a house that was 750 square feet or that we would one day own an old historic home. We bought a little historical home in a heritage district. We like this little historical downtown area. Since then, we have learned a lot about historic homes and have come to fall in love with them. The house was born in 1934. I like to say she's our little grandma. We have a 1934 minimal traditional style historic home, which was made popular during the Great Depression to provide small, simple, and affordable housing options to many families. These are minimal in design, not very fancy, and are built with only essential features. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what makes this home perfect, I think, for minimalist and simple living. I actually caught a couple sitting in their van one day looking at our house, and when I went out there to ask them if I could help them, they just said, "Oh, we're just sitting here admiring this cute little dollhouse." The little house, such a cute, tiny dollhouse. We love tiny houses, tiny homes. Always thought about maybe we'll build our own tiny house one day. We have been learning a lot about the history of our home and historic homes in general. Since we are in a historic district, we have to follow certain design standards if we want to make any changes or renovate the exterior of our house. And if you couldn't tell already, we bought a fixer-upper, so we've been working to do a lot of renovations on our own. We hired a few contractors in the beginning to handle some of the more bigger projects, but lately we've been doing most of the work ourselves. You're like the Hulk.
Yeah.
You need my help?
No.
Okay, good. And by we, I actually mean he, my hubby. My husband has been doing pretty much everything. All of it. I'll have to think about what I've been doing.
And there was a really bad leak under here for probably years and years and
Ew.
years. So let's see what's underneath it.
Oh no, I'm scared. Animals? We plan to share some of our DIY renovation projects while we're literally living here in a construction zone. It's like we found our perfect little tiny house mansion, not on wheels. We love small spaces and want to share more of our adventures with you in hopes to inspire you to live a more simple and minimal lifestyle as well. If you want to see how we purchased this fixer-upper and a video about enjoying freedom and adventure while living in small spaces, click on the screen to watch those videos next. We'd love to have you join us on this journey. Make sure to subscribe if you're interested in videos about simple and small space living. See you in the next video. Bye!